What's up, dudes and girls? We're doing a video on how to perform the overhead press, the basics. Basically what you need to know. It's one of the best compound movements you can do for your shoulders, the size, the strength, the health of them. It can be performed by men, it can be performed by women. And of course here I have my lovely guest, Michaela. She's gonna be performing the overhead press. And we have the whole setup here. Got the squat rack, got the barbell, and got the lovely Michaela. First things first, what you want to do in this exercise is get the right bar height here. As you can tell, Michaela walks up to the bar, is just below her clavicle here. What you want the bar is to be at your clavicle in the starting position before you're pressing. So if it's slightly below, what you can do is once you grab the bar, and we'll talk about grip here in a second, you can squat it up and it'll be in position where you can easily walk out from the power rack and it's not going to hit it. And there you go. So first things first, the setup, got the right bar set up on the power rack here, but now we're gonna be going over grip. So as soon as you walk up to the bar, we're gonna be talking about grip. Now there's several different ways where you can get your grip. You can go real wide, but as you can see, the angle increases quite a bit in your forearms there. It's pushing outward. You go really narrow here, which now you're kind of forced to flare your elbows here to get the proper position. And then there's more of a grip that's just about shoulder to outside shoulder width. So once you have it, your forearms are basically going to be completely vertical there. And that's really what we want. If there's a slight change, maybe slightly out or in, that might be okay, depending on your comfortability in your shoulder health and strength. But you don't want to go too wide and you don't want to go too narrow there, because then you just feel like it's maybe creating a little bit of impingement in your shoulder, either if you're going too close or if you're going too wide, you feel like it's kind of pulling in the wrong direction. So a nice neutral grip here, just about shoulder width, slightly wider, one that's again comfortable for your morphology. And that is going to be the correct grip for you. Now, as you can tell, her grip on her actual hands themselves, squeezing the bar nice and tight, thumbs wrapped around, and there's a couple ways to do this too. So go ahead and unrack it. Here we go. Nice, bracing, unracking. So you can tell her wrists are pretty straight here, and the bar is at the meat of her hands. Now let's go at the end of your hands. More here, and you can see some people kind of like do this. Now this is kind of more like a clean position. Let's say if you just did a hang clean and you catch it, that's kind of more of that. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on the wrist there, because you see the bar is actually pulling the wrist back quite a bit because it's more in the upper palm area. So you want to roll it more to the meaty area, the wrist straighten up a little bit, and now it's gonna help stabilize the wrist, not gonna put as much stress on them, so it's a better position for pressing, especially that heavier weight there. Now, we can go and rack it, because I know it's probably getting a little heavy. There we go. Now we'll go over stance. Stance is very important as well. Now there's military press, which is gonna be a very close stance. So you're pretty much military, you're standing at attention, feet are together, that's a military press. Now a push press is pretty wide, and you'll be using your knees, the extension of your knees, and also the extension of your hips to help. Is really going to create that power in the hips and the extension of the knees to get a lot of weight up there. You're still using the shoulders, of course, but again, you're using your legs and hips to power that movement up as well. Now with the overhead press, it is a stricter movement. It is just the shoulders, although you're still using a lot of stabilization in your core and your legs and your hips, so that way you can hold that weight up right there. So we'll have you step out of the power rack here. We're just going to do it without the bar. Now, just about shoulder width, slightly wider depending again on the comfortability of your stance there. You're going to be locking your knees, your legs out there, and what you want to do is kind of like externally rotate and push your hips through and squeeze your hips. Now that's immediately, as you squeeze your glutes, that's immediately going to really stabilize your structure in your core there. You want to brace and tighten your core there, so when you're in that press position, like you're acting like you're doing the bar, yep. So you're going to nice take deep breath, everything's tight, and then press up. And as you can tell though, as she presses up, the bar, if you look at a line straight through here, the bar is going to hit her chin. That's one of the disadvantages of doing an overhead press, because if you press just straight up and you don't move your head, you're going to knock your chin there. So what you're going to have to do, which is going to take a little practice, is once you start pressing, you actually have to bob your head slightly out of the way. Now you don't, so we'll go to the side here, you don't want to, as soon as you press the bar, to lean back to get your head out of the way. You want to lean really far back, put a lot of pressure on your lower back. All of a sudden there's a little bit more in the chest and less in the shoulders there. So what you want to do is just really try to bob your head out of the way as you press. Bob your head, press, and then push it back through there. So again, you have that really nice straight structure. Now, something that people can do as well is when you push the bar all the way up, So let's say you do a full press, pushing all the way up, boom, and then they elevate their arms. Let's keep your arms up. Elevate their arms really high, like this is all the way. So it's almost like they're reaching towards the ceiling there. That's a little too much shoulder elevation there. So what you want to do is slightly elevate the shoulders, really contract your trapezius muscles, and that's going to stabilize the full overhead position without overreaching and putting, there we go, exactly, that's too far. So you want too far, you do want to contract and slightly elevate the traps because they're going to help stabilize the overhead position before bringing it back down to the bottom position there and getting it nice and stable. So, turn back around. Now, we'll put everything together to take a look at the overhead press with the bar. And here you go, you ready? Yes. Yeah, okay. It's a lot of information, but once it all comes together, it starts making more sense there. So, and we're gonna go through a checklist while she does this. So now, bar's in the proper position on the power rack. She's getting the proper grip, putting her hands where she's most comfortable. Her forearm's gonna be more vertical. Get a proper stance there. Gets the right place to her clavicle. She's gonna squat it up. There we go, gonna walk out. Again, check her stance, nice and comfortable. Here we go. It's kind of resting more at her clavicle there. Bracing, squeezing her glutes. Nice deep breath. Push, bob, forward, and then back down. Boom. Super tight, feels super strong. Boom, up, back down. Excellent. Now she's really bracing her core as well, because once you push that barbell all the way to top position, it's raising your center of gravity. Again, it really make you unstable there. So if you have a really strong core, that's not only in your abdominals, your lower back, but your glutes, your lats, everything's really getting real tight to stabilize your spine to make sure you can press it. Okay, you can rack it, nice. That's really good. Looking awesome. Now the overhead press is of course working the deltoids. It's working the anterior, the lateral, the medial here, the posterior. It's also working your traps, a little bit more the clavicular part of your chest there, a little bit in the lats, because all those muscles are kind of basically coming into the glenohumeral joint there, the shoulder joint. So it takes a lot to utilize that pressing motion there. And of course, you got a lot of core work, a little bit in the glutes, stretch. It's pretty full body exercise, even though, yes, it's targeting the deltoids, but a lot more goes into it. If you really do want those strong delts, you do want to incorporate the overhead press because it's an excellent exercise to really build those boulder shoulders. And there you go. How'd it feel?
Good.
Nice. It felt good. That's a good sign. You want it to feel good. That's the problem is a lot of people perform exercise. It's uncomfortable. Maybe it hurts. You don't want it to feel uncomfortable. You don't want it to hurt. It needs to feel very strong. It needs to feel very supported. And if you make sure you go over the checklist every time in your head, even if you're going lightweight. A lot of people think, well, only if I'm going heavy, I really need to pay attention. A lot of times doing a lightweight is gonna cause more injuries because you're not even really caring. I'll just press it up, I don't even care. I'm not bracing, I'm not like squeezing, I'm not getting that proper, I'm just getting it up there. I don't even give a shit. So you wanna make sure you do this checklist no matter if you're going light or heavy, and that is really gonna go a long way, especially because the shoulders are unfortunately so prone to injury. They're super mobile, and a lot of times they'll sacrifice the mobility with stability. So make sure you train them right, and the overhead press is an excellent compound movement to go. So hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it's a lot that goes into it, but it is pretty much the standard checklist you need to do for the overhead press. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two, and look forward to more tutorials in the future. So until next time.
Stay